to party? Are they ready to bring their best moves here, or are we going to see another weak performance out of FaZe where they struggle to really apply that ability that they've got on the server and to get themselves the win? Many of the fans will just be wondering, Jackie, when is it going to come at this point?
Yeah, I think the FaZe fandom that are out there, right, are probably just wondering, is this it? Is this the new roster really struggling to get the grips? You've lost Mav. How much damage has that really done? How long is it going to take them to find their footing? Because what worries me is obviously we kind of had a similar conversation, right, with NIP, where it felt like they had a really off season back in stage 1, where it took them some time to get to grooves with it. But then they really did. And they grabbed the season, ran away with it, came out clutch, and looked absolutely dominant towards the major, winning the whole damn thing. For FaZe Clan, though, this time around, obviously, there's more issues to contend with. It's not just the fact that you're in a little bit of a slump when it comes to games. You're also restructuring your roster. You're trying to change the overall styles and see where KDS fits into the team. It just feels like it's really not clicking at the minute, Tim.
Well, the big difference as well between the two is that NIP was still getting results. They were struggling, but they were draws quite often, but they were putting points on the board, and more importantly, they were denying points from other teams who were going to be placed around them. So then when they did turn it on at the end of the season, they still managed to get themselves up into third place because they were within touching distance. They kept themselves close, but to come out of the first 2 play days with 0 points, which is what FaZe are potentially facing here, that could be not catastrophic to the season, but it could be seriously damaging in terms of getting towards those top 4 places. That could be a real struggle.
All right. Well, here we go then. The game is live. We are heading back in as we go into the second map in the series. Team 1 versus FaZe. Of course, Team 1, they've already got a win under their belt. They have been able to pick themselves up a nice amount of points from the series, but they'll want to get themselves even more here. They're on their attack as well. They've definitely been doing a bit better on their attack, FaZe Clan. They had a lot better starts. They were getting entry frags this time around, down to live, really doing work on the Ash, but they weren't capitalizing. Even when he did get countless entries, it still fell apart in the late round. They couldn't really pick it up and shut it down. It's just a little bit worrying. Let's see if that will plague Team 1 this time around here on Coastline as we head into the opener.
We've already seen Team 1 on Coastline so far in Stage 2. Saw them against W7M on Thursday. 7-5 it finished, and whilst they were competitive, Raps had a tough day, 5-10 on Coastline, and we know that he's capable of more. He'd had an absolutely flying game to start things off, so we'll be looking for a little bit more from Raps here, I am sure. But overall, Reduct and Philippox, they certainly made up for it. 29 kills between the two of them here on Coastline, and that's really what pushed them so close to that win overall with W7M, but they were just able to pip them at the post when it really came down to it. But overall, it was on the attack that Team 1 struggled. They were only successful when attacking Hooker and Billiards. Didn't manage to get a successful round anywhere else. So coming in, it could be a strong starting position for them. We see them attacking Hooker and Billiards here in round number 1, but they're going to have to find those successful rounds elsewhere as well.
Ooh, Lukey gets the entry though, and that'll best live actually in the battle of the entry fraggers, it seems. He is hungry for more. He wants to get his jaws around another man, but let's see if he'll have the opportunity to. Getting the reload off onto the breaching device, so he has that in the back pocket if it's necessary. In the meantime, we have seen a trade go down, re-leveling the playing field and putting us back into a 4 versus 4 with 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock, and this has actually caused a little bit of a stalemate. It's quelled the push from Team 1. They're not getting as aggressive as it seemed like they were going to be into this round. It felt like they were taking a really high tempo. There's actually been a bit of a thought popped into the back of the mind of the Valkyrie there. You could see Ion trying to realize if he's caught a glimpse of someone or where this rotation's coming from. But the hunters are becoming the hunted, Tim. Ion slowly walking his way around, skulking into a great position. This should be a free frag if he plays his cards right. It all depends on the timing. Hook, line, and sinker. Ooh, the drone goes by, setting up for Luke to follow in straight behind it. Depends on the roam. You could get one, but there'll probably be a trade. In the meantime, the adjustment comes out from Yuna. There's the first. Tries to swing wide onto the stairs, but can't follow it up. They get the pick back onto KDS as well, and this gives away both of their positions, leaving us into a 2 versus 3. Diffuser down, and it can be covered by Ion.
Great play from Ion there. Superb patience and trigger discipline, just holding himself until the opportunity presented it. And most importantly, he picked the right man. The diffuser on the ground, but he's going to be challenged now, leveled up as Felipox gets a kill. Lukid joins him, so that's a quick swing around 2 versus 1, but we find ourselves in a duel, head-to-head, 1 versus 1. It's going to be Astro versus Lukid. Lukid wins out, pops in through the door. Astro, you got to win that one. He's coming into your line of sight, but Lukid, no, he just ducks, he weaves, he bobs, he gets in there and hits his man and finishes the round for Team 1. That was absolutely anybody's, but it will be the dominant team of the moment. Team 1 coming away with it.
Wow. I mean, they got the entry. It felt like it was all going to go wrong when Ion got into position. Obviously dropping the diffuser, effectively breaking their momentum into the round. But all it takes is the response from the big lunatic himself. Lukid, young lad Lukey D, coming out with the frags, Tim, and securing an opening round for Team 1. That's clinical stuff. And of course, it's worrying, right? Because this is where you kind of immediately look at FaZe Clan and think they're on their defense. Those are the sort of rounds they have to win. You can't afford to lose those. There's been countless times tonight where they've lost out in 1vx's, and when they're on their defense, it scares me even more if they're going to lose those rounds.
I mean, I'm looking at that round, and it to me is a little bit reminiscent of the one I've already spoken about on Consulate, Jackie, where on Consulate, Astro did great work up in admin, got himself a couple of kills, really took the weight off his team. Ion there, great patience, got himself in off flank, put the diffuser down cold on the ground. They had a man advantage. Everything was going in their favour. And then, as I said, FaZe just seemed to get to that tipping point where they are in an advantageous position. They fight their way there, and then they're just unable to push it over the line from there. And that's exactly what we've seen again. Now, again, hindsight is 2020, and it's easy for me to say, but Ion, he remains in the exact same location that he's killed his man from. I understand that he's watching the diffuser. Very important, wants to prevent them being able to move in and collect it. But ultimately, he left himself an easy challenge as well, because Team 1 were able to move down and just pre-fire as they came around the door, and so he's already on the back foot in that gunfight there, and he gets put down, and you've just got to think, is there a rotation possible? Head out of kitchen, even just come back down, you know, literally U-turn on yourself through main lobby and back down the corridor to a same location outside of Blue Bar. Anything at all to just try and change your location a little bit.
Changing the course of the round, though. Lukid, he begins to pop off, obviously finding the real alibi, and then breaking down her army of clones as well, taking out the prisoners one by one. He's got a good opener into the round here because it's early on as well. We've only just gone over the 2-minute margin. He could also get a hurty-verty follow-up. Potentially. He's trying to line it up. He knows it's a bit awkward with the vertical beams, but he still beams through as a shining light for the side of Team 1. A sick frag to find. Azuna has been bested. The mute's been dropped down to the DECK, Tim, and FaZe Clan only have 3 operators remaining. This is a rough ride. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Team 1 are going to be absolutely beaming with how this has gone. KDS, you have an opportunity to bring your team back into the forefront. He's got a sneaking suspicion of the location of one of them, but the Zofia doesn't even need to reveal herself, Tim. Damage from a distance as KDS will take that right on the chin.
What a spectacular treat that vertical kill was from Lukid. I can't overstate the difficulty of hitting through those bars, especially when they're sort of running horizontal to you. Another 2 kills rain in for Team 1 here, and it's falling apart for FaZe as Raps will find himself a double at the end of the round. Perfect round it is for Team 1 as they close out number 2, and that is a second location that FaZe are unable to successfully defend. And it just feels, Jackie, like things are going from bad to worse for FaZe Clan here. They come in 7-3, and right now Coastline is running away with them, and this could be an even bigger score if this continues, because it just seems to get worse. Round 1, at least they got into a head-to-head 1 versus 1 come the end of the round, but that time they just weren't even competitive in round 2.
Scary. It just feels rough for FaZe, especially when they're just getting rinsed on the entry as well. Lucid's able to run away with it, right? Yeah, the backstab on the alibi is kind of forgivable, but the fact he then goes on to get the follow-up frag, you're engaged in a really rough firefight with the vertical combat. He just pops off, slays another man, then you've lost your mute as well. From that point, you lost a lot of chance in the round. It was just going from bad to worse second by second. FaZe, they're on their defense. They need to get something soon. You have to build up a little bit of a buffer, Tim, and they just aren't at the moment. They're not finding their footing. They've gone out rock climbing. They've said no to the instructor. You know, they haven't taken a carabiner. They haven't got themselves attached on the ropes. They've not got those little shoes with the spikes on the bottom, and they've slipped. At this point, they're free-falling.
Safety first, Jackie. That's it. You've got to pay attention to the detail, and that free fall is never a good thing, especially if you're on the free face. It's always going to be dangerous. I did a little bit of rock climbing when I was younger.
Oh,
Jackie. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the tallest of guys, as you know, but you know, my slight frame it means I've got quite a good sort of strength to size ratio. So the old overhangs and things, not too much of a problem.
Oh, I'd imagine you'd be quite an agile man. I feel like, you know, you'd be fairly fast. From standing to sprinting, I reckon you could pick up speed quite quickly.
Like a warthog, Jackie.
Yeah, quite literally like a warthog. I think it's 48 miles an hour they can get up to, somewhere around there.
Certainly can shift. Now, talking about shifting, Team 1, they are moving quickly towards a victory here in round 3. They find themselves with a mate off the clock, and they are getting themselves in position to make challenges already. There's a man getting pinged out on the main reception desk there. He's just waiting to take a call, Jackie. He's covering the customer services line, and I think there's a complaint coming his way.
Oh, no. Someone's very upset about the quality of hotel room they have been given. There is massive drone holes in the bottom of the floor. They're getting a constant breeze, and they are not happy about it. That was not in the TripAdvisor reviews, and this wasn't either. The fact you're going to get shot in the face when you walk up to the customer service desk as damage is coming out. They are being dashed into the round. This should be the first round on the board for FaZe. They outnumber them 4-2. Raps and Philippox are the only men left standing on the side of Team 1 live. Barely alive at this point. Quite literally 1 hit point left as he dives in, tucks into position, and just tries to hold, playing off his angle. You would have thought you would have won that encounter, but Raps plays it perfectly on the peak, bludgeons him, and brings this back into potentially a winnable round now for Team 1. They could go 3-0 if they can clutch this, and clutch this appears to be the game plan. Raps is ruining them. Shot after shot of sheer success. This is crazy, Tim.
2 versus 2, brought back from a 2 versus 4, and right now this is anybody's, but the problem that FaZe has got is the momentum for the round has shifted away from them. It surely has to be in their brains right now. Not again, not this again, as Team 1, they turn the screws and they up the pressure, and with 50 seconds left to go, there is a lot of that pressure to be absorbed by Una and Ion. Una, of course, on low health. That is the one advantage Team 1 have got, but they find themselves another advantage. Philippox comes in with a huge double, and that is a big turn around for Team 1. There is nothing that FaZe can do right now to stop this juggernaut rolling over them. 2 versus 4 is not too much for Team 1 as they put another round on the board here in Coastline, and you have to ask yourself just exactly what can FaZe do right now, because nothing seems to be going their way.
That is a wild clutch to pick up. A round that it felt like, again, was almost solidified as one for FaZe. And bit by bit, all the pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place. And Team 1 have won it. 3 rounds now on their attack. The more rounds they're conceding, Tim, the more it's making me sweat and getting me terrified about FaZe Clan's potential attacking half, because they need to get rounds here. They have to get rounds, and it's got to be done soon. We do have another tweet coming through, though, as we've got another little one popped in. I think people underestimate the strat innovation coming out of R6 Latam. The smoke/mirror hold of yellow and bathroom is something I've never seen before. Hashtag BR6, Tim.
Absolutely right. Could not agree more. It's something that I've been talking to Des about, particularly. Obviously, Des has been covering on the EUL side, and he did a play day with me back when you were unavailable, Jackie, in the last stage. And there was a couple of things that I said coming in. He said, you know, is there anything particularly I need to know about? And I said, well, you know, there's things that are done differently in LATAM sometimes, let me tell you. But they work. And, you know, there's more than one way to get the job done on Siege. That's what you have to remember. The other thing that I comment on quite often that stands out when we're talking about those sorts of strats that you don't necessarily see is actually on another map. It's on Clubhouse, when they hold in CCTV and cash and they leave half of the wall unreinforced between cash and construction, and they'll challenge through there. They'll play in and around the bomb chassis, and they'll make those challenges to stop the hard breacher coming in and just opening up that wall. And they find success with it. You wouldn't think it would necessarily be probable, but they do it and they make it work. And that's what I love about LATAM, the unpredictability sometimes.
Oh, mate, LATAM's always so explosive. It definitely is innovative. They're willing to try all the newer approaches into the game. They've definitely adapted very quickly to bringing both Ace and Malusi into competitive play with ease. And we've seen them never really wanting to ban them out. They want to keep everything in play. And right now, this game is still in play. Round 4, 1 minute and 50 seconds on the clock. We haven't had a frag just yet, but as you say that, here he is. Astro picking one up. He'll shoot back against Fools, who will fall, cascading down the side of the building and collapsing onto the ground. You've lost your Buck, you've lost your Jackal, and maybe this is where FaZe won't lose a round. They might actually get themselves a win under their belt here and take the scoreline 3-1 if they can pick up the next 3 frags. But Raps, he begins again. Tim, they've come back from worse positions. Maybe there's still a chance here for Team 1.
Next kill needs to go in the direction of FaZe. If this ends up 3 versus 3, it starts becoming a real problem. But Ion, he will secure that by taking Lukid off the board, and along goes for Leapox with him company on that road, departing from this life and heading into round 5. Now, Raps, he starts as he means to go on. That's a double on the round, but this is going to have to be an ace if he is to clutch this out. We can see Yuna. He is led prone. I think it's Yuna just inside there on the Maestro. Could be wrong. I think just working off silhouette at this point, but the man in VIP, he's just trying to keep himself as unpredictable as possible. Going in and aiming so low at the ground is very unusual. Now, you can see what's happening here from Raps is he's just trying to check his corners using that concussion grenade. So when it goes in and doesn't detonate for a few seconds, that tells him that it's exploding on the charge rather than on the proximity element of that gadget. So he knows there's nobody there, basically. If there was somebody, then it would detonate much sooner. He's going to look to take out that Maestro cam, deny the information, but it's a big signal as to where he is pushing from. There's a man in behind the hard reinforce. It is Live who peeks out, takes down Raps, and FaZe, they manage finally to take full advantage of that man count that they had, and they managed to get a round in their favour. It's going to be 3-1, but there's still a lot of work to be done for FaZe here. They need to continue having those good early starts to rounds as they had in round number 4.
It's the first round, though. So at least come now. It was worrying as well because it felt like as soon as they started to get some kills being picked up, Team 1, they always resurge. This time, though, it was a bit too much. They've been overpowered and they do concede. It seems like they're also going to be conceding their pick onto Ace as well. Philippox coming off it and instead moving on to the Lion, going into the 5th round of the matchup. Team 1, they've been really effective on the entries. Obviously, I think that's one of the few rounds where they've actually struggled to get the opening pick, and instead we saw Falls going down. It's been Lukid that's been playing a great game overall. 6 frags to 2 deaths. Raps as well, the exact same split there, 6-2 as well. And you look across the board, everyone else having a bit of a quieter game. It's been those two as the 2 real big dogs. They've been the impact fraggers for Team 1. If you can silence them, you'll slow them down.
The opening kill has been a big factor. Lukid got the opening kill in round 1 and 2, and Team 1 went on to win both of the rounds in reasonable, straightforward fashion. Round 2, of course, being a perfect round, not losing a single man. But round 3, Ion opened things up for FaZe, and it was a round they really shouldn't have lost. They got themselves to 4 versus 2 on the man count, but somehow Team 1 were just able to overthrow that. And then they've gone one step better in round 4. Astro, it was this time, opening things up. So it just goes to tell you how important that entry kill has been for FaZe. It's really sort of bolstering them in the early round, and they really need to be finding that here. So keep a close eye on which way that entry kill goes.
Entry frag is going to be a big talking point for this one. Luke, is he still going to get away with his tricks, his shenanigans? He's basically just been running the game the whole time. Anything he's wanted to do, he's gotten away with. But this time, it's not going to be as easy for Team 1 to secure the entry. Astro, he bites back. He's had enough for being pushed around him, and he steps up on the Jaeger, coming in with a clean initial kill, shaking up the situation as well, as he shatters Reduct like a wine glass, finding the headshot over the top of the bar. Cleanly done, leaving them with a huge advantage now. This has got to be a second round for FaZe. All you've got to do is turtle up, play the trade game, and you've won this.
Astro serving up pain rather than drinks from behind the bar there, and that is exactly the start that I said FaZe Clan needed, coming in with a big double for his team, and that's what they need right now. They need that hero, they need that talisman to come in and just help to steady the ship, and that is exactly what Astro has done. Falls will fall as well. KDS getting the kill in round number 5 to take things to 5 versus 3, and sure, this is another FaZe round on the board here, and not too soon, I can tell you that. It will leave them 3-2, and they really start feeling like they've got themselves back into things. Astro, he doesn't look like he could miss at the minute. You could ask him to shoot a bullet through the eye of a needle, and he'd hit that shot. KDS, it is 5 kills coming between the two of them, Jackie, and that is great from FaZe.
Beautiful stuff. It's the entry frags that basically won the entire round as well. It was clean. It was good openers. They took the aggression. They took confidence. And I think that is the big point about it as well, Tim. That's one of the few rounds we've really seen them actually just playing with confident, controlled aggression, going for early runouts, taking those initial spawn peaks, and most importantly, just taking risks. It feels like this new FaZe roster, I'd say they've struggled with getting their confidence back. So that's a good sign.
Well, it certainly seems like they've found it in the last couple of rounds there. They're not only getting the kills, but also backing them up. And this is what I've been saying. They're getting themselves into those advantageous positions, but just unable to cash in on them, unable to really take full benefit of the situation. But they've shown an ability in round 4 and 5 to do that. Now, this could be a real snatch and grab theft here if they can come back 3-0 at the half, Jackie. If they can get this one, round 6 on the board, they're going to Penthouse and Theatre, so a little bit unorthodox. Now, we have seen some great holds of this, particularly with Panico extending out and playing in VIP, if you remember. It made it very, very difficult to assault onto, but it doesn't look like something that FaZe is going to be attempting. There is no utility being deployed in there, so they could find themselves hard-pressed here. It's going to be very important that the players out on the roam get themselves some kills. It looks like Astro might join them. He's just putting his ADSs down there, but we do have KDS downstairs. We've got Ion downstairs, so they're certainly playing for some nitro denial, if nothing else. But Team 1, they're a dangerous side, and they've certainly got the bodies that can get in there and clear out those ground floor players.
Right. Will the Team 1 lead be grounded to a halt? Will it come back 3-3? Or is this where they're going to drop it, panic a little bit at the final hurdle? It'll all go south, and Team 1 will take it 4-2. It comes down to this round to decide a lot about this game. It'll give us a bit of a better inkling of how the potential second half is going to go as it gets underway. Raps droning out early, looking to do a bit of reconnaissance and have a safe read to know if he can push his way in. Obviously not seeing too much from the angle. There is 2 men close by, basically rocking a buddy system and holding together with a crossfire, but he hasn't had that intel just yet. Astro, though, might get more than he bargains for here. It's a nice angle to play with. You can sit on the stairs. You've got the slightly elevated peak. He knows someone's out the front. Just depends if he's going to run the risk of doing anything to combat that.
Got to be challenging these lower floor players. We can see almost halfway into the round now, and we haven't had anything really putting pressure onto them as of yet. So the Kaid of KDS is down there as well now. This is going to be the first challenge moving forward. Reduct, he's going to look to push onto the Valkyrie that he knows is playing in or around Kitchen, but Lion Scan will go out. He won't push along with it. He will be challenged. Ion, of course, using that Valkyrie cam that is in the Sunrise bar. Great positioning there. Nice and hidden. It's just going to feed him all the information of exactly where Reduct is pushing. He takes 1 bullet at long range. It's not an awful lot of damage, but a lot more damage is done by that Nitro. Una will be... No, it was actually a nade from Raps taking Una out on a trade as he got falls, and we find ourselves 4 versus 4 for Leapox repelling in through the double window. I think he's looking to try and get himself the defuse diffuser down, but it all goes pear-shaped, Jackie, as we have kills raining in, a team kill in amongst it with the Nitro. But I'm sure FaZe are not going to mind. They find themselves 3 versus 2, but where have we seen this before? Lukid gets in, kill onto Astro. He knows exactly where the mirror is. Can he win it? Yes, he can. His teammate comes in, Raps to assist. 2 versus 1 now, and yet again in a quick swing of momentum, it is Team 1 on top of this round. Ion is the last man alive, but he has 2 players ahead of him who are both low health. Put shots onto the first, making the situation even worse for Team 1. Can he find the 2 kills that his team needs? Ion pushes in, gets the first onto the sledge. Can he find the second? I think he's just seen him move into Hall of Fame. He knows exactly where he is. He needs to aggress forward and get this kill onto the Ash. Lukid, he can take less than 1 bullet. That's all it's going to take. Can he get it? No! Lukid steps out and goes massive, finishing the round for Team 1.
I was scared, Tim. For a second there, I thought they might have thrown it away. The aggression from that position. They were constantly taking the peak whilst they were attempting to get the diffuser down. Once he got the first frag, get left in a 1v1, it felt like it was done and dusted. It felt like it had slipped out of their hands. But no, they pick it up, they put together the pieces, and they get a direly needed round, ending it there 4-2. And now, of course, they get to move on over to their defensive side. Scary. Definitely going to have the backs up of FaZe Clan, and Live is the man for me that we should be watching. He has to have a ginormous performance now going into the attack. He's on the Ash, so he's got all the natural tools to find those entry frags. He was getting countless multi-kills back on Consulate, but they weren't able to make them count. They weren't converting them into actual impact frags because they'd still fall apart when it came to the late round. That has to change here now going into round 7. You need to get an opening round on the board immediately, or you're giving Team 1 way too much of a buffer, Tim. They're 1 round away from 5 rounds. At that point, they need another one to have a guaranteed draw, and 1 more on top of that to take both maps in the series.
Team 1's ability to close out rounds is what is winning them this, and I know that sounds really obvious sometimes, but it is the difference between these 2 teams. There is frags raining in on both sides. Ion on 5, Astro on 6. You know, you look across, you've got Raps 7, Lukid 9. So we're not talking about a million miles apart. You've got to look across the rest of the team as well. Reduct and Falls only on 1 apiece, but the kills across FaZe are much more level than that. KDS and Una bringing up the sort of mid-pack for them on 4 apiece. So the kills are there. They are winning in those gunfights in the early and mid round. It is all down to that last 30 seconds, and that is where the difference is being found. And it is Team 1 that are showing that clinical ability to come through and scrap and to get the rounds over the line. And that is exactly what the scoreboard tells us. 4-2 coming off their attack. They move on to the defense now. And this, as you say, it's going to rest on 1 or 2 players. They need somebody to step up, whether it be Astro, whether it be Live, whether it be both of them, to start coming in and just finding a way.
FaZe finds a way, Tim. They have to, or else they are going to be kissing their matchup here against Team 1 goodnight. And this is an important matchup as well, especially when we get closer towards the end of the season. Team 1, they will rank 1 in Stage 1. They're taking the top seed. If you drop your game against them this early, you're going to be paying the price towards the end of the season. So hopefully they can get themselves a round out here. If not, this is where Team 1 start to springboard their way towards the end of this map, but also the series. They get the entry frag once again. And look who goes down. It's Live on the Ash. That is a pivotal pick, Tim, and that really does blow the top off of this one, making it so much harder for FaZe Clan to win the round, especially when all of them are getting gunned down. You've got a 2 versus 5 now. Una will at least find a frag as he bites back against Lukid, knocking his block off. But it's all on Una. This man has had incredible clutches before on Coastline, but doing it right here, right now, with about 20 HP to play with, it's very unlikely. Nitro being chucked towards him. All that's going to do is instigate him to back off, tail between his legs, and try and create some space. 10 bullets to play with. As the peak comes up, they're not going to make a difference, as Reduct will reduce him to nothing, and Team 1 get another round.
Very ambitious Nitro there. I think he must have assumed the player was a little bit closer than he was. You're never going to hit him at that range, but it didn't really matter. At the end of the day, Team 1, it was a matter of time until they got the view onto the last man there. 4 versus 1. They were pretty sure that they had that sewn up, and they find themselves now 5-2. And that round is a little bit worrying for all the FaZe fans out there, Jackie, of which I know that there are numerous, because coming onto the defense, you always have to think, right now, you know, it's FaZe that has to find a way. They have to go in and dismantle the utility and dismantle the defenders and push through. And right now, it's just absolute chaos for FaZe. They are in a conundrum, a real quandary as it stands, and they don't have any answers, it doesn't appear.
God damn. And now you've reached the crossroad, right? Because Team 1, they've come out swinging from the get-go. As soon as the bell rang, they were windmilling towards the opposition, Tim. It's like they've come out of spoons and they are fueled, ready for a fight, just hitting blow after blow, and FaZe Clan had nothing to answer for it. They couldn't bite back. The bouncer weren't there to help them. At the end of it, they'd lost their chin.
A real Sunday night showdown, Jackie. That much is for sure. There's going to be fast food all over the floor at this rate as well. It's, you know, it's going to be the full works, the whole 9 yards.
It's not ideal at all. And Team 1, for them, this quite possibly is the dream scenario. They're basically living their movie, right? One more round for a guaranteed draw. One more on top of that. You've won both maps against FaZe. That's sick. That's a huge way to start off the season. At that point, they'll have 3 wins and 1 draw under their belt.
Well, that's the important thing to remember. If Team 1 can take one more round here, it's 2 points guaranteed, and yet again 0 for FaZe, and that is a really poor start. Don't forget, there are only 9 matches for each of these teams. There's 10 teams in the league, and it's a single round robin, so you're playing each other once. So it's only 9 matchups for each team. So to have lost 2 of them, for 2 to have gone to 0 points, that is more than 20% of your points gone. Not coming back.
What isn't coming back as well. FaZe Clan's chance into this round, they're nearly all dead already. They at least find a frag, but at that point they're both in a down but not out state. They can just toy with their food before they finish that one. Another helpful spoonful there being gifted back over to Team 1 as they claim themselves that 6th round. Draw guaranteed. This is it, Tim. Honestly, with the way the series going now, I think it is over. Team 1, you just need to pick up that final round. It's just a matter of time. FaZe just don't have an answer for it. They can't contest against this level of aggression that's coming out from Team 1. They're playing attack on defense.
I just don't know what's going on with FaZe, Jackie. I don't want to paint too bleak a picture because it's a team that, you know, I still expect to come back into this. They were the runners-up at the mini-major. They showed us some great play last season. And I can't see that one man is, you know, such a significant difference. There must be other things going on here because Mav, yes, he has left. He has gone over to Team Liquid. But does that account for the real gulf that we are seeing between last year and this year? Of course, they are playing up against the number 1 seeded team from the last stage in Team 1. So we could make an argument that, yes, they're against one of the very good teams. And Team 1, Team Liquid, NIP, you know, those top 3 particularly are capable of doing this to any team on a given day. So yes, there is that element, but let's not forget, it's not the first game that they've played this season, and it's not the first game that we've seen them lose in this fashion.
No, it's not. That's why it's scary. That's why it is worrying, because at that point, it's like, yeah, if they're struggling, maybe at least they can put together the pieces on defense, but if the NAP doesn't work, what have you got? You're playing such a weakened game that you're just getting teared to parts. And I mean, not taking anything away from Team 1. Like, genuinely, they are a super solid side. We've seen that. They're a team that came all the way back from last place in that season of Pro League, all the way up to the first seed in Stage 1 here of BR6. Now coming into Stage 2, they're looking like they've still been able to carry that momentum over. They're still hitting their shots. They're still performing. They're playing with the utmost confidence in and out of games. And now they just need one more round to put this to bed, put it down as a nightcap, and move on to the next play day. Falls is going to be able to open it up once again. The newcomer of FaZe Clan not getting a chance to show his impact in the round, as Nomad is no more. Gunned down early on, Team 1, Tim, have a 5 versus 4 to potentially end the game.
What a great angle, and let's of course look at the positives as well. You know, we can talk about the struggles that FaZe are having all day, but Team 1 have looked absolutely solid. At the end of the day, you can only play what's in front of you, and it takes a lot of professionalism of any team to make sure that you're closing out that matchup, and that's exactly what Team 1 have done. They have not taken their foot off the gas for a second here, and they've really kept the pressure on FaZe, and they continue to do so. This is becoming a real pressure cooker. They've got the lid just locked on at the minute, and Team 1, they refuse refuse to relinquish any sort of control here on coastline. 5 versus 3, Live will get one back onto Falls with a nice headshot, so we find ourselves 4 versus 3. FaZe still fighting, and they might still be able to find something here for themselves on coastline, but the best they can hope for is a draw, of course. It's going to have to come one round at a time, and it's going to have to be 4 rounds in a row without a single mistake. But Team One, they've just backed off a little bit, and they're going to allow FaZe to play into them, and that pays dividends as Philippox takes down Live 2 versus 4, and surely a matter of time right now.
Oh, look at the angle as well. That's disgustingly cheeky there from Reduct as he's going to rinse his way through Astro. It's all dropped onto Yuna, the man with the pink hair, but can he punish them as he bounces into the site, cleaning up on the first, shuts down Raps. He needs to be suspicious of this close angle though, has a good read but can't combat it in time. As Philippox, he shows that he certainly has an alibi into the game. The GGs are dropped, and so is the round by FaZe. Team One walk away with 2 victories tonight. 1 on Consulate and 1 on Coastline. Some clean gameplay, Tim.
What a message from Team One. Coastline being a map that they didn't struggle on against W7M, but they had it taken away from them, and then they just come back with a brilliant response against FaZe there. Absolutely clinical from Team One.
Sick stuff. You know, it really does reign true. And also, one of the bigger talking points that come out about it is